Hi everyone, welcome again to another tutorial. But before I start anything, I want to mention these special names Giselle, Lucia, and Geoffrey for joining my membership. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Let's get into the video. So I have here 8mm faceted bead in the color white and 8mm faceted bead in the color red. I'm going to use both. This is my fishing line, 50 pound fishing line, and this is my little plier to cut any loose thread. Let's get started. So I cut a fresh line. Just cut the line that your arms can take. So I'm adding 6 beads to the line. I add 6 beads to the line, and I'm going to cross the last bead with my left line, just like this, and pull. So I have 6 beads. This is the first ring that we have made. So this line I'm adding 5 beads, the red. I added 5 beads, and I'm going to cross it again with the other line. Cross the other line into the red bead and pull. Just like so. This is 2 rings we made already. This line I'm going to go to the next white bead. And I'll be adding 4 beads. Again, cross the last bead with the other line and pull down. Now go through the next white bead. Add 4 beads. We are going to use the same techniques round the circle. I'm going to go to the next bead. Add 4 beads. Into the next bead. I'm going to add 4 beads. Now over here, this is the last bead we are going to go through. So this line I'm going to go through the white and the red. I'm going through the white first. I'm going to the other side and go to the red bead over here, and I'm going to add 3 beads. Put one bead on each line and cross both ends into the 3rd bead. I'm crossing both ends into this 3rd bead. So this is the first step. We're done with the first step, and this is how it's supposed to look like. First step is completed. Now we are going to continue again. This is how it should be. Your line should be in the middle bead. So now this line, I'm adding 5 beads. 5 beads. I'm going to go through the next 2 beads. Next 2. This line, add 3 beads. Now I'm going to the next bead, this line into the next bead. Add 4 beads. Now into the next 2 beads, this and this one. Add 3 beads. This line, 3 beads. Next bead, this line, 4 beads. Now I'm going to go to the next 2 beads, this and this one. And I'll be adding 3 beads over here. Add 3 beads. Now into the next bead. Four bead. I'm going to the next 2 bead, this and this one. 3 bead. Now into the next bead. 4 bead. Next 2 bead. Three bead. Add 3 bead. I'm going to go to the next bead. And I'll be adding 4 bead. Now this is the last stage. I'm going to go to this, and this one. All these 3 I'm going to go through. So the number of bead I'm adding here is 2 bead to complete the second stage. So now the second stage is complete, and this is how it's supposed to look like if you have it. So I'm just going to weave this line back into the bead and trim it off. Then we continue with the third stage. Okay, I'm going to go put my line through this edge bead over here. The edge bead, put your line through the edge bead. So the outer layer, I'm going to use white for the outer layer. So I am putting 5 beads on the line. I'm starting with 5. Into the next 2 beads, 3 beads. Into the next 2 beads, this line, 3 beads. I'm going through the next bead. And I'll be adding 4 beads. The next 2 beads, this and this one. Three beads. Next 2 beads. I'm adding 3 beads. And I'm going through the next bead. And I'll add 4 beads. The next 2 beads. Add 3 beads. Now into the next bead. Three beads. Go to the next bead and add 4 beads. Next 2. Three beads. Next 2. Three beads. Next bead. I'm going to add 4 beads. Then into the next 2 beads, add 3 beads. Next 2 beads, three beads. Into the next bead. Four beads. next 2, I'm going to add 3 beads over here. So we are coming to the end of the 3rd stage. So I'm going to go through this bead, those 2, and the white, 1 white over here, this one. So my line is in 4 beads, and the number of beads I'm going to add is 2 beads to complete this stage. This is the last stage. 2 beads, okay? Add 2 beads to the last stage, and now it's done. You just have to weave the rest of the line into the bead and make it secure, then you trim it. Just weave the rest of the line into the bead. This is how it's looking like, and this is the other one that I've made. This one I start with white, and inside layer is red, then the outer layer is white. But this one I start with red with the circle, inside layer is white, and the outer layer is red. So it depends on you how you want it. So this is the design that I made to create the bag, and I made 11 of these, 11 total of this. So these are the pieces of puzzle we are going to put together. It's just a piece of puzzle. You design your own bag, put it together to make a bag. This is how you put them, okay? It's just a pieces of puzzle you put together. And this is how it's looking like. We are going to use this to make a bag, and I'm going to show you how we are going to put it together. So first, let me show you how we are going to join the pieces together before we can make a bag. So right here, we are going to join the pieces together. So this is a fresh line that I've cut, and I'm adding 1 bead to the line, okay? Add 1 bead to the line. Now I'm going to leave this bead, the first bead, over here and go through the 2nd and 3rd bead. So I'm starting from the 2nd bead and into this one, the 3rd bead. I'm going to use the other line into this one. I'm going to leave this one, first one over here, and go to the next 2 beads. I'm going to add 1 bead and cross both lines into it and pull. Now I'm going to go through the next 2 beads on each side. And add 1 bead. Cross both ends of your line into a bead and pull. Now next 2 bead, this side, next 2 bead. So we are going to go through these 2 bead over here, 1 and the 2nd one. And the other side too, you go through 2. Then you take 1 bead and cross both ends of your line into that bead and pull. Now we are going to pull another piece together to add another piece to this one. So with this line, I'm going to go through this bead over here. So I'm going through the bead, then I'm going to add 1 bead to the line. And the next piece, I'm going to go to the edge bead. I'm going to add this piece, go through the edge bead and pull. Now the other line, go through the next bead. This line into the next bead. Now use one bead and cross both ends of your line into it. And pull. Now we are going to continue with 2 and 2 on the other side. And we are going to cross both ends of our line into the bead. Again, we are going to repeat the same technique. We're going to go through next 2 and these 2. I'm crossing my line into this bead. Then I'm going to add another piece again. That is how you are going to join them piece by piece to make a mat. Then you can make a bag out of it. I'm going to join another piece again. So I'm going through this edge bead over here. Add one bead to the line. Now go through the edge bead of the new piece. On the other side, go through the next bead. Enter the next bead and cross both ends of your line into a bead. And pull. You see how it's coming together. This is how we are going to continue the same way. You continue and finish at the end. You come here, cut a line, continue, cut a line and finish it up. So this is how the puzzle piece is going to look like. Okay, now this is the back of the bag I've already put together. And it takes 7 flowers, okay? 7 flowers. This is the back of it. And this is what we were doing earlier. This is the pieces we were putting together earlier. And I'm going to show you how we are going to fold this to make a bag. We are going to fold this in, fold the side in, and we are going to join it like how we join the pieces together. Okay, we are going to join this side like how we did it. Then you fold this side to in and join it like how we put the pieces together. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to start to show you how we are going to do that, so you can continue to do your own. I'm going to leave the first bead and go through the second and third bead. I'm going to add one bead to the line. Then I'm going through the second and the third bead on the other side and pull. I'm just repeating the same technique we used to join the pieces together. Now add one bead to the line and pull. Cross both ends into it, pull. Now go to the next two. Like how we join the pieces together, we are going to do the same thing over here too, to join those ends. This is how it's looking like. This is how you join it. I put them together. This and this, those are the join we join together. And this is how it's looking like. This is what you should have. If you have something other than this, you are not going to get. This is the first one, the first piece that we put together. All right, and I'm going to show you how we are going to attach it to it. This is how it's going to go. You put it this way. I'm going to hold it like this. The pieces you join the side. I think it makes sense. It starts to make sense now. Okay, this is how it's looking like, and this is how the bag is going to take the shape like. I'm going to put it together to complete the bag. So I'm going to start off this one too. I'm going to start so you know how you can continue and finish with yours. So I get a fresh line, and I'm going to use the same technique we used to join the pieces together. It's going to go this way. Okay, I'm trying to put it together. Go to the next two. And continue into the next two bead. Go to the next two on the other side, each side of the piece, and join them together with a bead. Add one bead and cross both ends of your line into it. And pull. Okay, now on the corner over here, let me go through this first. Now in this corner, I'm going to go to this, this, and this. All these three beads, I'm going to go through it. Then cross your line into a bead and pull. So I'm going to go through the next two beads, okay? These two and these two. So just continue to join your pieces together. Continue to join them. Just go on the edge. Continue to join them on the line until you have a complete bag, until you complete it to this side. Okay. Now I'm on the last one over here. We're about to finish. So this loose line, I'm just going to go back into the bead and weave it into my bead to make sure it's well secured before I trim it off. So I'm just pulling it through the beads. This is how the bag is looking like. Okay, this is how it's looking like. On the side over here, this is optional. You can decide to close it or not. You close this side or leave it open. So this is the inside of the bag. This is how it's looking like. A very, very beautiful design. Or you close both sides of the bag if you like. But I'm going to close it for you to see how it looks like. This so are curious if you want to leave it or not. So I'm going to continue to close it. This is the bag, very, very beautiful inside and the outside of the bag. This is one we just have to put handle on it and it comes to complete bag. So I'm completing the side. Joining those pieces together, and I'm on the last one, so I'm just crossing my line into this bead to complete that side, and I'm going to weave the rest of my line into this 4 bead over here, the corner bead. I'm just going to go through it, put all my line through all the 4, then I'm going to have them together and tie. I'm just going to tie these ones over here. These lines, they are together. Just tie them neatly. Nice and neat. Go through a couple of beads and then trim it away. So this is how the edge is looking like. If you can decide to close it or not, and this is how it's going to open for you. Okay. Very, very beautiful. So we are going to learn how to make the handle. I'm going to show you how we are going to make the handle. The handle, this is my line. I put 4 beads on it, and I'm crossing the last bead with my left line and pull down. And I'm going to continue to put one bead on each line, and I'm crossing it into the 3rd bead and pull. So we made 2 boxes. We are going to continue to pull one bead on each line and cross at both ends into the 3rd bead and pull down. So this is how it's looking like, and we are going to continue to make this 30 times. We make the flower 30 times, okay? So we are going to make it long. You count each flower till you count 30. So let's pretend this is the 30 that we made, okay? Let's pretend over here we can't do 30 on camera, so let's just pretend we have 30 over here, and I'm going to add 3 beads on this line because we are making 2 rows. I'm going to continue with, so now my line turned to the side. I'm going to add 3 beads to the other line. This line, I'm going to add 3 beads. I'm going to cross the other line into the bead and pull. So I'm going to go through the next bead. And I'll add 2 beads. I'm going to go through the next bead and add 2 beads. 2 beads. So this stage we are just going to go through the edge bead and add 2 beads to it until we complete the row. This is how it's looking like. Just go through into the next bead, add 2 beads until you complete this row. I'm going to pull my line through this edge bead over here. Then I'm going to add 1 bead on the line. Then I'll put in the other end into the other edge bead and pull. And I'm going to take another bead and cross both ends of my line into it and pull. Like this. Then this line, I'm going through this edge bead. The other line, I'm going to go through the edge bead and pull. And I'm going to use 1 bead and cross both ends of the line into it. So that is how we are going to create our handle. I'm going to the next bead on each side. Go through this bead over here too on this side and pull. Cross both ends of your line into a bead until you complete that row. This is how we are going to continue until we complete the row. You add, cross both ends of your line into the bead I'm going through the next one. And add a bead to it. Now this is the last one that I'm going through. Then you add, cross your line, both lines into the bead and pull. Okay, this is how the handle is looking like. Okay, let's pretend this is the 30. This is 30 that we have made. We're going to make long, so create 30 boxes, and this is what I'm making over here. I didn't complete yet, so this is 30, and I'm just going to continue to add the bead to complete it. So you too, you continue to do yours the same. Now we are going to add the handle to the bag. This is the handle that I made. This is the line. I'm cutting fresh line, and I'm going to go through, hold the bag, and go through these 3 beads in the corner. 1, 2, 3. Go through them. And go through a bead on the handle. This is the handle, okay? This edge bead over here, you go through 1 depending on how you position your handle. So I'm going to go through this edge bead over here, this one. And I'm crossing both lines into that bead. Then I'm going to go around it second time into the 3 bead again. I'm going to pull my line through them again to just reinforce it, make sure it's well secured enough. Now I'm tying over here. Pull and pull nice, pull tight and close the gaps. Now I'm tying over here in between this bead. I'm going to tie the second time. Then I'm going to weave the rest of my line into the bead and then trim it off. Just weave the rest of the line into the bead. Now the second one, we are going to do the same thing, repeat the same technique we did for the first one. I'm going to go through all these 3 beads in the corner over here and into the bead on the handle. I'm going through all these 3 beads over here. Now I'm going to go through the edge bead. Cross both ends of the line into this edge bead and pull. And do the same thing. You go through all the 3 beads and make sure it's well secured. Then pull close and tight, and tie the line over there in between the bead. Then you weave the rest of the line into the bead and trim it off. This is how the bag is looking like. The handle, one handle is done, and we are going to continue with the second handle. Okay, this is the back. I'm going to attach the handle to the bag again, and this is how it's going to look like when we attach it to the bag. So pretty, very, very beautiful. It's a beautiful design. So we are just going to attach it, and now I make a little bead ball over here to put on the bag. I'm going to attach it over here. I'm going to put a little lock on it. So here my line is going through that bead over there, and I'm going to hold both ends of this line and go through the circle over here and pull. Then behind inside the bag, I'm going to pull each line through 2 beads. These 2 beads and these 2 beads. And I'm going to come down and tie them together. This is how it's looking like. So behind it, we are going to make a loop to lock that bead ball over there. So behind that bag, this is my line. I'm going to add 1 bead to the line. And I'm going to pull both ends through a bead on the bag. I'm going to pull through this bead over here. I'm going to pull both ends through that bead, okay? Okay, I got only 1 through, then I'm going to try to pull the second one through that bead, the same bead. Okay, now I pull both ends through. Now that bead is blocking it. It's blocking the line not to slip out. So you open the line and do bead stringing. Just string the bead on the line. I'm just going to make a loop over here. So I string this much, and I'm going to try to put it on it and see if it fits. Okay, I think this is a good number. Always measure your, wherever you want to put it, measure it and see if it fits. It's going to hook on your, either you put bead, you can put button, a big button, whatever you have, just put it there, but measure your loop to see if it's going to hook on it. So right here I'm just tying my loop that I make. I'm going to go through a couple of beads and tie. I'm going to make a loop and tie my bead over here. Then I'm going to pull the end through a couple of beads before I trim it off. Don't just trim the line right away. You can unravel. So just trim it off and do the other one. Go through a couple of beads, tie again, pull it through a bead before you cut. That's all we are doing here. This is a very, very beautiful bag. I'm just going to go through a couple of beads and tie over here. Just trim it off. This is the loop. I'm just going to use it to hook the ball. Just going to hook it onto the ball to help as a lock for the bag. Okay, so let's try it and see. Yeah, perfectly. So this is our final product. This is the bag that we have made. It's a very beautiful design. If you have a chain, a long chain, you can put it on the side so you can use it as a crossbody bag. It's a very beautiful design. Thank you for watching and thank you for spending this time with me. I will see you again in my next video. Bye.